Hi, friends. Today I'm beginning a deep foray into trying to integrate counterpoint into my improvisation, and thought I would share some ideas to begin this journey. It's going to be a long process for me. I know that going in, so I may make some other videos in the future just to see how this is progressing and what I'm getting to, but I'm starting at the beginning right now. And the inspiration for this really comes from playing a fair amount of classical music, and there's so much great literature for the guitar, and much of it, particularly like Baroque style Bach and some of these source studies that I've talked about in a previous video, have just some beautiful counterpoint in it. But I'm an improviser, and I wanna improvise, but I love that sound of independent voices on the instrument. So how can I start working towards integrating that into my playing? So that's what I'm attempting to do today. And again, it's just a beginning, so hopefully these may be some ideas that could inspire you as well. But one of the things that I'm finding super interesting is that it's not only is it demanding physically from a fingering perspective to track multiple voices, because as we all know as guitarists, this grid that we're dealing with is quite challenging, and to run into different fingering challenges is very common, especially with counterpoint. And then when we're talking about improvising counterpoint, that's even more challenging. So that's been one challenge, but the other has been mindfulness. It's really been taking quite a significant amount of concentration for me personally to be really focused on what it is I'm trying to do, and I'm finding this to be quite beneficial. So again, hoping that might be of use to you. So I haven't found a ton of literature, but I have had this book for a long time, Jimmy Weibel's Art of Two-Line Improvisation. It's got a bunch of different studies in it that are really quite interesting, but stylistically it's not really what I want to do, but I am finding some useful information. Particularly some stuff at the very beginning. He has some exercises to begin your journey into counterpoint, but he uses a very odd scale for all of these exercises, and the scale he's choosing is C, D, E flat, F sharp, G sharp, A natural, B natural. So this kind of like Lydian augmented scale with a flatted third, it's pretty unusual. So I'm having trouble like just dealing with that unusual scale while I'm also trying to deal with counterpoint. So I thought I'm going to simplify this a little bit, and maybe it's something that is useful for you. So I decided I'm just going to play C major scale, and I'm going to divide the guitar into two, the upper three strings and the lower three strings, as being just areas for these voices. And I'm just going to play, or attempt to play, a few different very simple ideas, very simple in concept, but rather difficult from both a fingering and a concentration perspective when it's applied. So what I'm going to attempt to do is play on the lower three strings. I'm going to play a C major scale descending and then ascending. But on the upper three strings at the same time, I'm going to play a C major scale ascending and then descending. So they're going to start together, move apart, and come back, but playing just quarter notes. So I'm going to play two C's, a C on the third string for my upper voice and a C on the fourth string for my lower voice, and just move up the scale and down the scale and back. So you might say, well, what's the big deal? Well, it's not really that big of a deal, except, again, fingering is a challenge. I'm not going to give you those fingerings because I think part of the fun of this journey is to figure out this stuff out on the fly, and that's where the mindfulness comes in. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing that I'm experimenting with is to play let's say, play eighth notes in the lower voice but quarter notes in the upper voice. And that might sound something like this. Didn't do it very well, but and here's descending. So odd, right? It's not that easy. Now what if we flipped it? Eighth notes in the upper voice, quarter notes in the lower voice. And reversed. So tough. It's tough. But what I'm finding it's giving me is this real ability to hear these independent lines, and that's challenging. So these simple scale ideas might be ways that could help get you on that journey. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, what I'm really trying to focus on is make sure those lines are clear, right? While I'm playing the lower voice, I want to still hear that upper one ringing. Right. And whatever it happens to be. That's the hard part of figuring the stuff out on the fly. I know these things sound very simple in theory, but they're, like I said, they're a bit challenging. So hopefully that will give you some ideas. Like I said, I'm gonna start diving deeply into this concept, and as I do, I'll share some more thoughts as my journey continues. But I do have another video that I'll link here, which is about doing what I call double stop arpeggios, playing arpeggios, the same arpeggio from two different degrees simultaneously. So if that sounds of interest to you, check that one out. Good luck.